Ladies and gentlemen, I've just got news that has literally sent shivers down my spine. I can't believe the banks are doing this right now. In today's video, we're going to go over how bank runs have begun. Banks are now freezing accounts in mass, and also banks are closing doors and they're suffering huge outages. But people, there is something much more worrisome around the reason why it is happening. And for you, my viewers, you have seen this coming, you have known this coming, but unfortunately the average citizen is still delusional to what is going on right now. So let this be a message for you now. Your money is no longer safe in the banks, and if you have huge sums of money in the bank, it's not financial advice, but you may want to think of other alternative ways to store your wealth, which I'll get into later in the video. So everyone, let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so I'm sure some of you have been seeing what's going on in Canada right now, but people, this applies to everywhere in the world, and this is going to be coming in other major countries like Australia and in the US. So what happened in Canada is Trudeau, he created an emergency act, and that gives huge amounts of powers for him to order financial institutions to freeze bank accounts. But unfortunately for him, this immediately backfired, and this caused a banking panic, and this caused huge outages at the banks and bank runs. Listen to this, everyone. 5 of Canadians' largest banks mysteriously went offline this week after the government announced it was freezing assets of people supporting the Freedom Convoy, sparking rumors of a bank run or computer hacking. This is a very, very slippery slope, everyone. I can't believe they're freezing people's accounts that just simply made a donation to a political cause that they believe in. And as far as what I've seen, these protests have been peaceful and they've been lawful protests. But now what we're seeing in major economies in the West, all of a sudden governments can just make up a rule like that or make up a new law and say, okay, now all of a sudden these protests are legal, but you know what, we don't like these protests, so they're now illegal. I don't care what side of politics you're on, this is not right, people. And why you may not care for the truckers or may not care for the Freedom Convoy, well, maybe they're cracking down on them this time, but maybe they're coming for you next time. And listen to this, people, this is terrifying. The actions ordered by Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked the Emergency Act are designed to sap the resources of the protests using laws against, can you believe it, they're calling this terrorist financing. So now all of a sudden, you don't agree with your politician, you're a terrorist. You don't vote for your politician, you're a terrorist. You're a parent that loves your kids and doesn't agree with the school board, you're a terrorist. This is absolutely crazy, people. They're using terror laws against their own citizens. Kind of like what happened after 9/11 in the US. But again, going back to the topic of the video, your bank account is only one wrong post on social media or agreeing with a wrong political agenda from being frozen. Listen to this. We are today serving notice. If your truck is being used in these illegal blockades, your corporate accounts will be frozen, Freeland said Monday, adding those who assisted protesters would also face repercussions. I literally can't believe what I'm reading and what I'm seeing, people. This is absolutely madness. But what do you think? And we all knew this was going to come. We've all seen China implement the social credit system. And guess what? Political leaders and other leaders around the world, they will love this. They love monitoring their citizens. They love absolute power. The reason they get into these positions, people, is because they are power-hungry people. They're not getting in there for public service. And this is quite worrying for people like me that tries to be an independent thinker and try to question things and not take the mainstream narrative. So I guess that means my social credit score isn't going to be good at all. And I'll get into later in the video how they're going to use CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, to usher in this social credit system. So listen to this. This week, 5 banks in Canada, the leading ones in the country, went offline out of the blue. They faced a major outage of almost 5 hours, blocking access to their primary function. Online and mobile banking facilities were said to be out, along with access to e-transfers for their customers. So this is why you always need to have some hard cash on hand, because we're seeing more and more these banks are suffering outages, and for whatever reason you needed something urgently, well, if the banks went offline, you're not going to be able to access those funds. I'm not telling you to, take all your cash out and put it under your pillow, just a small amount for emergencies. And again, I'll get into later in the video how you're going to need to find some other alternative ways to store your wealth. And this is so funny. All the banks and exchanges like Robinhood, these stock trading exchanges, all these cryptocurrency trading platforms, they all use the same excuse. Oh, sorry, banks have reported technical difficulties in processing transactions. So again, it seems like whenever there's huge issues going on, it always comes down to, sorry, we're experiencing technical issues, which is just an easy excuse they can use for anything. Listen to this. We're currently experiencing technical issues with our online and mobile banking, as well as our phone systems, the Royal Bank of Canada tweeted. Our experts are investigating and working to get this fixed as quickly as possible, but we have no ETA to provide at this time. And you can see here these graphs here in this tweet, what is going on with Canada's banks right now. You can see here a lot of banks all of a sudden had a massive spike of outages reported during the last 24 hours. And again, people, just to reiterate, this is not just happening in Canada. This is happening globally, and it's just a matter of time before we start to see these kind of things implemented in Australia and in the US. It says here the outages precipitated widespread speculation that Canada was experiencing a bank run or banks were hacked. And this is something Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, has said is the biggest risk for the financial system is a cyber attack on the whole financial system. They've been warning more and more that this is going to happen. The World Economic Forum has been warning this is a big risk. So this could have also been something that they were experiencing during these outages. And that's just another risk to add to the list of the reasons why your money isn't safe in the banks, because central banks are admitting now that cybersecurity isn't up to par. And look at this tweet from Jim Rickards. He said, Canadian bank ATMs are offline amid possibility that Trado and Cafe Freeland started a bank run with their trucker account freezes. No surprise, this was predicted in my 2016 book, The Road to Ruin. It's called Ice 9, Get Your Money Out If You Can. And I completely agree, everyone. And people, what you have to know is your money isn't backed one-to-one in the banks. You'll be lucky if, for example, for every $100 that you give to the bank, they have $5 in reserves. And whether these outages and technical issues were caused by a bank run or not, what this is going to cause is more fear. And what more fear causes is panic, and this could lead to more and more bank runs starting Monday. It has a basic cause and effect, people. And I don't know about you, but the reason people put money in the bank is because it is so-called safe. But now with one wrong post on social media, with all of a sudden donating to the wrong political cause, your funds can be frozen and taken instantly. So for many people, banks are no longer safe anymore. And people, you have to watch this video of Deputy PM Chrystia Freeland. This is very disturbing, watching the tyranny, looking at the tyranny in her eyes, and she's pretty much laughing. I think she's high on power right now, saying, and pretty much just saying straight out that yes, we're coming for you. We've got your details. We're going to freeze your accounts, and there's going to be more coming.
So you're confirming that accounts have been frozen, both personal and corporate, but you're not releasing the information. And the actual follow-up is, I'm just wondering whether the bank accounts will be targeted of individuals who donated to the Give, Send, Go and the GoFundMe campaigns. Are they considered designated people under the Emergencies Act, meaning that their credit cards could be cut and financial services are targeting them as well?
Okay, so the names of both individuals and entities, as well as crypto wallets, have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, and accounts have been frozen, and more accounts will be frozen. Crowdfunding platforms and payment service providers have started the registration process with FinTrack. In terms of the specifics on whose accounts are being frozen, you now have the regulations. The financial service providers have those regulations as well, and they, working with law enforcement, will be making the operational decisions.
I don't know about you people, but when I was watching this, this is very worrying for me. And this is showing that politicians, they're not trying to hide their tyranny now. They're admitting that they can just make up any of these laws overnight like that, and they'll come after you if you disagree with them. And what I fear is the next step in this process is these central bank digital currencies, where it's going to make it even easier for governments to monitor all your transactions, monitor your behavior, give you a social credit score. If you're good and go along with everything the politicians say, maybe during the next time when there's a recession, you will get more money than those that have a low social credit score. Maybe you have access to better lending facilities than those with a low social credit score. And again, like I warned, if people sign up to these central bank digital currencies, it'll make it easier and easier. If you do anything or say anything out of line, they'll be able to turn off your account in an instant. So people, what we are facing now is not just online censorship. Now we are facing financial censorship. So you need to find alternative ways to store your wealth and store your money. And there are some very simple ways to do this. For one, simply gold and silver. Gold and silver has been money throughout history for thousands and thousands of years. And when you hold that physical gold and silver, nobody can censor it and nobody can turn your gold and silver offline. Now, what we've also seen is people using Bitcoin as also an alternative because it is a bit more convenient, than gold and silver for doing micro transactions or sending large amounts of money overseas. Now, I'm not talking about Bitcoin on exchange. I'm talking about having your own private wallet and having your own private key memorized. So for whatever reason, you can have the access to your funds stored in your memory for no one else to censor or to turn offline or to steal the funds. Because people, I fear this is just the beginning of a much bigger financial crisis that is coming ahead. But everyone, this is just my thoughts and opinions on the situation. What do you think? Let me know. Now, for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.